Let me give you the story again. Now, we were talking about this movie, Romeo and Juliet. This movie was made in 1968 with an actor named Leonard Whiting, who played Romeo. He was 16. Olivia Hussey played Juliet. She was 15. And the director, Franco Zeffirelli, who was a pretty well-known Italian director at the time, as Christian said, assured them in the movie there'll be no nudity. But when it came time to do a particular scene, he said, I think we are going to need nudity to drive this scene home for the gravitas of the film. I saw the film in 9th grade English class, okay? When the nudity was shown...
Yeah. You could hear him hitting the desk.
Because if memory serves, I've not read Romeo and Juliet in quite some time, but they don't, get together for their one night. I think it's only one night, right?
It's very short.
I think, it's not till like Act 5, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So you're just falling asleep. How long is the movie?
Long.
It's got to be more than 2 hours.
It's over 2 hours. We watched over 2 days. We watched like the first.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Yeah, because it was, you had an hour-long period. It may have been 3 days that we watched it. And
so you're just kind of bored listening to these actors do this, Shakespearean English.
And all of a sudden, there's nudity. Yes.
Boobies.
Boobs.
And butts.
And butts. And I'll tell you what else, too. I remember this. The young ladies that I was trying to court at the time were all telling me they thought Romeo was a dish. Now, they thought he was good looking. And they did. They said, he's a dish.
A dish.
And I'd say, I dug Juliet. I thought Juliet was really attractive. Now, at the time, we were the exact same age. I didn't realize. Nobody knew. I didn't know what age they were, but they were nude in the movie. She showed her breasts. He showed his backside. And Zeffirelli said, you've got to do this for the weight of the scene. Now, all these years later, Zeffirelli has died 3 years ago. 4 years ago, the actress told Variety she felt the nude scene was needed for the film and that Zeffirelli shot it tastefully.
Was that like the, 50th or 60th anniversary of the picture?
Yeah, it was. That's exactly right. It was the 50th anniversary of the movie. In another interview with Fox News, she said it wasn't that big of a deal and that in the middle of shooting, she even forgot that she wasn't wearing clothes. Now, of course, they had to shoot for a while when she was topless, but she said it wasn't that big of a deal. I guess probably on the 50th anniversary of the movie.
And it's European.
Yes, it's European.
European standards are, in many ways, different than the United States.
That's right. And here we are in 1968 versus 2018 when she gave the interview, now 2023. Lisa Lanier, they have just announced they are suing both these actors, the male and the female, for over $500 million.
This may be the biggest lawsuit in showbiz history. Romeo and Juliet versus, Paramount?
Yeah, that's right. Paramount Pictures. They're suing them, seeking that much damage. Lisa, first of all, thanks for being on with us today, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, the reason this case has come up so many years later, they're now in their 70s, is there's been all across the United States, the majority of states have passed legislation that will reopen the statute of limitations, undo the statute of limitations for a period of time. It's called a look-back period. Mm-hmm. It's usually about a 2 to 3 year window. This was under the California look-back window that they filed this, and that window came to a close December 31st. And so anyone who had a child sex abuse claim had to bring it during that window. And so you see a lot of people filing for old claims. They're in their 70s, happened a long, long time ago when they were 15 and 16. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they'll get $500 million, but it does, when they were hired, it was very explicit that they were not to be nude. Mm-hmm. And they were supposed to be wearing bodysuits that gave them the appearance of nudity. And the director just didn't like that and told them at the last minute that they needed to take their clothes off. Her breasts are shown, his buttocks are shown, and it is definitely a violation of current child acting standards. Now there's all kinds of explicit legislation. There's, also in addition to just state-by-state legislation, there's actor, union guidelines and things for child actors. So you wouldn't see that happening today with children. But, not necessarily back then were there any protections like that. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think they probably will get some money, but it won't be that kind of money. Because on the scale of things, I mean, when these look backs, these windows have happened, and I handle a lot of these cases, you're talking about kids that were very severely sexually abused.
Right.
Raped and penetrated and, all these awful things. And so, those kids are looking at millions of dollars now.
Yeah.
Particularly when it was, it happened under the care of some organization or in some situation like this. But what they're talking about is on the scale of things, not as severe. And so it's, not as likely. And I think this was just a posturing or a pleading that their lawyer was doing. I don't think they expect to get that kind of money.
Well, but has it affected their lives? I would use, if I were going against them, I would use this interview and say, you just said it wasn't that big of a deal. It was tasteful. They asked us, it was done. It didn't seem like they were bothered by it as little as 4 or 5 years ago when they were doing the interviews. To me, it sounded like, remember the kid on the cover of the Nirvana album who for years would sign the Nirvana album and then all of a sudden said, well, no, wait a minute, I was violated. Of course, he had no choice in the matter.
His parents did that.
His parents did that to him. But you said because he had, gone on to one side and profited from it. So what do you think? Do you think they'll use that interview against these two actors?
Oh, for sure they'll use it against her. I mean, it doesn't have any weight against him, but it certainly, as far as her claiming that she was distressed by it, this interview goes against that, and that'll go to her credibility, as far as her claims about the distress involved in it. What I read in Variety magazine about this was that their bigger issue was how this hurt their career, because at the time the movie was very acclaimed and got a lot of attention, but their careers after that really tanked, and they believe it was because of sort of this stigma attached to these young actors having been shown in the nude, which was very taboo at the time.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Oh, okay. Now that's different. Yeah.
Do you know, Lisa, would it have made a difference if the director had still been alive? Would they have action against Mr. Zeffirelli?
I mean, potentially, because, he was the one that made them do it, but that's not typically who if you're a victim of any kind of child sex abuse like this, you typically aren't going to find that the perpetrator in most situations will have any assets. Now, he may have when he died, I don't know, and his estate's probably long since closed, but it's usually the entity that employed everyone. That's, if you were at a after school care organization or something and you're abused by one of the counselors, you don't go after the counselor, you go after the organization.
Okay. All right. And Paramount's got deep pockets, so of course they'll go after them. And that makes perfect sense then.
That's Top Gun money, right? Is that
Paramount? Paramount just made a huge amount of money with Top Gun.
Tons.
I mean,
Yeah. Those are your dollars.
Yeah.
Those are my dollars. Do you know how much I've paid to see Top Gun Maverick?
A lot.
A lot. I've probably given them
It's a good
$50.
movie.
I've given them $50. Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a great movie. That's right. Have you seen Romeo and Juliet?
This is the interesting thing about this film. It's shown in schools. There's a cleaned up version of it that's shown. You saw it in school. Yeah, I saw it in school.
I saw it in school, but I saw the nudity. They warned us ahead of time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, we didn't. I don't think we saw the nudity, but Guilford County,
Well, Randolph County didn't have any problem with it. They told us.
Says here there's a titty version.
Watch it first. They just played it for y'all.
No, our teacher, Ms. Bell, she said, now, y'all, there's going to be a few seconds of nudity here. Just keep your comments and your giggles down. But, of course, we all were like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Mayhem in the classroom.
God, I couldn't believe. Plus, I was exactly their age, and they were good looking. I was exactly their age. Yeah, unbelievable. Well, thank goodness you can't do it anymore. At least they've cleaned all that up and everything. I can't even imagine. I'll tell you, I saw a play in college when I was at Appalachian State. They did a play, and a guy had to come out completely naked, and I couldn't. I just looked at my, our whole class was there. I looked around. and said, Are you all seeing this? He was naked on the stage.
Oh, yeah, it happened. Daniel Radcliffe did it a few years ago, and played it on Broadway. There was a kid in a Disney movie who was 12 years old, who was filmed back, even before this Romeo and Juliet thing was filmed. And I don't think he ever sued under any of these look-back periods, but he was filmed skinny dipping in a Disney movie from behind, and it showed his entire rear. But when they were filming it, they filmed him from all angles. And there's actually, because there's so much of that, cutting room footage out there, there's actually footage of him, 12 years old, naked, out floating around on the internet that you can still see. And, talk about somebody with a lawsuit. This kid they filmed him from every which way.
Oh, my God. Yeah, even though it's that long ago, he could still have a lawsuit during this look-back period.
If he fell under one of these look-back periods. But, I think the California one just closed. The New York one, I think, just closed. They're talking about, we had one here in North Carolina. One of the reasons they have these look-backs is for people who have experienced really severe childhood sex abuse, it takes them so long to come to terms with it and to even be able to talk about it. Psychologists say that it's an average of age 50 before people have really been able to come to terms with it enough to come forward and speak freely about it.
Man.
And so these look-back periods look to not quite age 50 in most instances, but 30s and 40s, giving people time to reach adulthood, get therapy, get to a point where they can actually speak about it.
I'd like to see him just drop all the, what do you call it? Where there's a statute of limitations. Yeah, statutes. Why just get rid of it? I mean, that's a severe crime. Why have even these look back? Just get rid of those. That's just me talking. That's legislation.
I'm sure there's a million reasons.
Oh, there is. Just get rid of it. Lisa, so good to talk to you. It's been forever. I'm so glad you were able to be on with us today.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk to you again on Friday.
Talk to you Friday. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. That's Lisa Lanier, our official attorney of this program, LanierLawGroup.com. Mobile is on the phone. Saw Romeo and Juliet as Dave Aiken and I did. And Lisa.
Uncut
in school.
Or cut?
Yeah, did you see it uncut or cut, Mobile?
Yeah, good morning. Happy New Year. We saw it as a first cut down in Fayetteville in 1970 when we were in ninth grade. We attended a Catholic school in Fayetteville, so we all bussed down there. As it turned out, Mr. Pan, a great English teacher, the girls sat at the bottom of the theater. These are original theaters, and but boys sat in the back. And so we knew the scene was coming up somewhere until the end. And at the pivotal moment, one of our classmates, Aileen, had snuck in a Polaroid swinger camera that only took black and white shots. And at the pivotal moment, she snapped the camera, and everyone was blinded in the theater. I didn't see anything for a couple seconds.
Oh, my God.
It's a great movie, by the way.
It is a good movie.
Is that your favorite Shakespearean play?
Yes.
No, I like Othello better, but
wow.
Mr. Panner was in the middle, and we were watching his reactions to all the puns in there by Shakespeare. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
Great teacher.
And blinded you from it. Really? Wow. How smart was that?
Incredible.
Thank you, Mobile.